In the last episode, Aaron and the four of them crossed the highway to the front of the building, and their mission was to help survivors in need.
We have more back at our camp, if you'd like. Is there anyone I could speak with, face to face?
After Aaron's speech there was silence, and after about 10 seconds there was a thud from inside. Shortly after, the iron door opened and a bald woman wearing earrings and carrying a scythe on her shoulder stepped out. Judging by her demeanor alone, she didn't seem like an easy person to deal with. The woman examined the strangers before her with a fierce gaze.
Weapons.
The four of them didn't dwell on the issue and took off their weapons from their belts. The woman's bald head, earrings, nose ring, and cold expression exuded an intimidating aura. Jesse didn't even dare to look up. He had never seen such a scene before, and all the energy he had before he arrived was gone. Aaron handed over his knife and food.
It's kind of a bitch to take off.
The woman, taking the weapons, led them inside. The interior was dimly lit, and several burly men stood around. After everyone entered, the door was closed behind them. If these people had any ill intentions, escape would be impossible.
Last door to the right.
What's down there?
The woman didn't explain what was inside but just smiled and walked away. With no other choice, the four followed. Although Toby was the boss, he dared not say a word at the moment and could only follow behind Aaron. They walked through dark and mysterious corridors, occasionally catching glimpses of people in rooms watching them. Jesse felt extremely uneasy, as if he had walked into a den of wolves. Soon, they arrived in a room. Surprisingly, there was no horror inside. Instead, a middle-aged man with his back to them appeared to be the leader.
Seats.
Aaron breathed a sigh of relief at this point. As long as they could sit down quietly and talk, there wouldn't be many problems. When the man turned around, before he could speak, Aaron preemptively said, "We come from a community called the Commonwealth. It's very much like the pre-apocalyptic world, where the population has surpassed 50,000 and there's an enlightened government and people are living well." Before Aaron could finish,
Soldiers. And churches too, I take it. Hey, Father? Did you lose your collar?
Wanted you to see who I was before learning what I was.
confirming Gabriel's status as a priest improved Ian's attitude. He went on to say, "Suppose it's like the old world there, it probably has a church, maybe even a socialite, gambling, too, I assume. Are there addicts gathering in the alleyways?"
I haven't seen any of that.
To dispel Ian's concerns, Aaron took out his phone and handed it over. The photos on it captured the beauty of the Commonwealth and made you want to see it.
That's where we live. Whenever people see those photos.
Now Ian couldn't help but be curious and ask, "Is it that simple that you're here just to get us to live here?" In reality, they didn't believe in this so-called Commonwealth. Ian thought it was likely a scam. Trusting others in the post-apocalyptic world was foolish.
Where is this, Commonwealth located?
He can't tell you that.
Why? Because you say so?
Yeah, that's right.
Then why am I talking to him?
Aaron thought to himself, "Oh no, why are you interrupting? Do you have to make your presence felt at this point?"
Turn around and look in that back corner.
The four turned to look, only to see cabinets filled with severed heads, creating an eerie and horrifying atmosphere. Ian explains that these are all assailants, murderers, rapists, and a few cannibals. And the one thing they all have in common is that they've all sat on your stools before. Aaron couldn't help but realize that Ian was making a blatant threat. Jesse was even more scared that coming out to help others might cost him his life. Toby's eyes also revealed great fear. Ian was angry because he had been having a good conversation with Aaron when Toby, breaking the rules, intervened with an attitude of bestowing favors. Ian didn't believe in the Commonwealth. He thought there was no such thing as a free lunch.
Mr. Head Wolf? If you know where I live and I don't know where you live, how dumb would that be for me to let you go? What's your name?
Toby Carlson.
Toby? on your goddamn knees! Asses, stay in the goddamn chairs! Get on your goddamn knees!
Toby, no longer displaying his previous nonchalant demeanor, quickly knelt down, fearing that he might be shot if he knelt too late. Ian continued, explaining that someone had promised to bring immense wealth from a distant place, but he saw through the scheme. The person just wanted them to leave the house so that a raiding party could kill them. In the end, that person became a trophy on the shelf. As for you letting us go and live in the Commonwealth for no reason, do you think I'm stupid?
Plenty of room on the shelf, right next to Billy!
I don't want to be on the shelf, and I don't think you're stupid, okay?
Tell me where your raiding party is, or I'm gonna start dropping bodies on the floor.
Do we look like raiders to you?
Wolves, dressed as sheep, speaking lies. Why did you come here? What do you want?
Exactly. What do you have that we would want? This place is a shithole. Why would we want it?
All we've done is given you food and water. You aren't starving right now because of us. Is that real? Or is that a lie?
You know what else is real?
Nobody dies, okay? You save yourself and your people by letting us go, and we will never come back here again. We will never bother you. I promise that, okay?
After some thought, Ian put down the gun. Aaron and Gabriel were correct. Poverty had left them with nothing worth scheming for. Moreover, if he fired a shot, it would only result in mutual destruction when the soldiers outside entered.
You'll never come back.
The turn of events was too sudden. Toby, who moments ago was submissive, now revealed a fierce side. Aaron and Gabriel were completely baffled. In fact, Toby's real purpose in coming here was to kill. It goes back a week, when Lance returned from the top of the hilltop. In an effort to expand his power, Lance, without Pamela's knowledge, continued to seek cooperation with new communities. To show sincerity, he sent a small team with a carload of supplies. Unexpectedly, the supplies were looted, and the soldiers were killed. Their weapons taken precisely the 3 soldiers Maggie and the others encountered on the road. Further investigation revealed that all traces led to an apartment building inhabited by a group of religious fanatics, led by someone dressed like a warlord. Lance brought in Toby to take them out and get the stolen weapons back. Toby was puzzled. If this is a warlord, why not just send soldiers to wipe them out? However, Lance explained, their building is easy to defend and hard to attack. The view covers all directions. The team I sent would be taken out before getting close. If I use a whole squad, it would attract Pamela's attention. She'll definitely order me to stop.
What happened, Lance? This seems like quite the misfire, Lance. No. I need a surgical solution.
In the pre-apocalyptic world, Toby was a CIA assassin who had served Lance for many years. However, in recent years, he had retired, finding satisfaction in daily activities like fishing, strolls, and helping wanderers. Toby turned down Lance's offer.
Feels great, and it could be taken from you.
Toby became serious, someone daring to threaten a killer, even if that person was his superior.
You tired of living, Lance?
Was unacceptable. Lance was scared. He was really worried that Toby would quietly assassinate him. Lance began to play the emotional card. He said, "The dead soldiers are 20 years old. I need to be responsible for his family to avenge their deaths." As he said this, Lance had tears in his eyes, and seemed to really feel sorry for the dead soldiers. It's true that life is all about acting. However, behind Lance's emotional facade, there lingered a sense of conspiracy. The whole thing was in Lance's plan. He told Toby to bring Gabriel with him, so that the group would be less wary.
Go see the big chief, and then...
And that's how it happened. The soldiers quickly seized control due to their firearms. Ian was thrown to the ground. Aaron and Gabriel, unaware of the true situation, believed they were there to offer assistance. Toby looked at Ian and said, "You massacred our soldiers and took their guns and goods. Where did you put those weapons?" Ian shook his head and said, "I don't know what you're talking about." Toby slowly crouched down and smashed the butt of his gun in Ian's face, then reminded him that the trail of our transport trucks points to you. "Hand over our weapons." Only then did Ian understand the purpose of their visit. Innocently, he claimed they did take some food from the truck but found it already in that state. He denied being the murderer or seeing any weapons. Ian argued that if they had weapons...
Hey! Stop! Stop! Cuff him!
they would have used them in self-defense. However, before Ian could finish, Toby shot him. Aaron was shocked. He and Gabriel had no idea what they were talking about and why they killed him.
Don't you look at me like that. He's a damn animal.
We are supposed to be helping people.
We are. This is the other side of it.
Suddenly, the sound of horses outside caught Toby and Aaron's attention. They rushed out to find Jesse had escaped on horseback. This episode concludes here. It turns out that Jesse is the person who went to the hilltop. However, the mystery remains about why he sought help and who robbed the truck.